What's up, everyone? Welcome to the March 23rd edition of FanDuel Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. Tonight, we have a massive 11-game NBA slate to talk about. We're going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options using the Boom Bust tool on the Awesemo.com website. As always, be sure to tune in to the deeper dive and live before lock on the Awesemo YouTube channel in the 2 hours leading up until tip for more up-to-date ownership projections, injury news, player projections, all of that. But for now, taking a look at 5 of the top tournament options on FanDuel. Starting at number 5, Cameron Payne projected for about 5% ownership with a 9% chance of being in the optimal lineup tonight. He's taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's a lot of very good guard options on tonight's slate, both in terms of pay-up options and in terms of value, but that is leading Payne to be somewhat under-owned, even though he has a relatively low chance of being in the optimal lineup. He has an even lower chance his ownership projection is even lower than that chance. In the 6 games that he's played with Devin Booker and without Chris Paul this season, Payne's averaged 30.1 minutes per game and 1.11 FanDuel points per minute. There's certainly a path to success for him at a $6,800 price tag. Number 4, Tobias Harris, projected for 8% ownership, 12% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Harris is not going to feel good to click on. We have Joel Embiid and James Harden both playing for the Sixers. Harris has had issues recently, even when one or both of those guys are out, much less when they're both in. But his price tag is plummeted. He's only $5,500. He has small forward and power forward eligibility. The forward positions are weaker on tonight's slate in general. Specifically, the small forward position doesn't have as much to offer as most other positions. And Harris is still averaging 33.5 minutes per game in the 11 games that he has played with Embiid and Harden. The issue is he's only averaging 0.72 FanDuel points per minute. His true shooting percentage in those games is almost exactly the same as for the entire season. So you can't just point to his shot not falling or bad luck or anything like that. He, not surprisingly, is taking a huge step backwards in terms of his average production because he's playing next to 2 stars now in Harden and Embiid. But it doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, it matters, but when you talk about a 1-game sample size, it doesn't matter all that much what someone averages if they're going to be out there still playing into the mid 30s in a good matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers. And most importantly, in this case, at a cheap price tag and low ownership, with only 8% projected ownership and a 12% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Number 3, Devon Vasel. He's projected for 11% ownership. He has a 14% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Vasel is shooting guard only on FanDuel, so makes it a little bit more difficult to get to him. But he's also only $5,200. He has a favorable matchup against the Portland Trailblazers in a game that is likely to be good from a fantasy standpoint. Probably going to hurt your eyes to watch if you like good basketball, but from a DFS standpoint, there should be plenty of fantasy production in this game, particularly from the Spurs side. They come in with a 120 implied total right now, which is tied with a couple of other teams for the highest on the slate, or second highest, actually. Indiana currently leads the way. But Vasel has averaged 30.6 minutes per game, 0.81 FanDuel points per minute in the games that he has started with DeJounte Murray this season. Pretty easy, pretty easy math without even factoring the matchup. If he just averages around 0.8 fantasy points per minute over 30 minutes, you're getting pretty close to a decent 5x projection on him. And then you factor in that this is a good matchup against Portland as well. Number 2, Buddy Hield, projected for 9% ownership with a 14% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He is shooting guard and small forward eligible at only $5,900. He is facing his former team, the Sacramento Kings, in what is another game that if you want to see good basketball, don't watch it. But if you want to see guys rack up a lot of fantasy points, this is a great game for you. We did just get, as I was recording this, Malcolm Brogdon ruled out. So I was going to say that Buddy Hield had averaged 0.91 FanDuel points per minute and 37.2 minutes per game in the games he's played with Malcolm Brogdon. That doesn't really matter anymore, but it's still kind of the same thing. Like, you're expecting Hield to play huge minutes here. The per minute production isn't likely to change that much because regardless of who's on the floor, he's not a playmaker. He's not likely to do a whole lot different. Maybe you get a little bit more usage for him, but other than that, it's still just likely that he's going to be around a 20 to 22% usage guy, around 0.9 to 1 fantasy points per minute, but give you around 37 or 38 minutes. And number 1, Devin Booker, projected for 12% ownership with a 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Booker is only a shooting guard on FanDuel, but he's also only $9,500. He is taking on Minnesota. Booker is in the 6 games he's played without Chris Paul, and with Cameron Payne. Booker has averaged 1.41 FanDuel points per minute. He has a 30.1% usage rate, 28.9% assist percentage, and offers a massive ceiling at a little bit of a price discount to some of the other pay-up options. So to recap, the top 5 tournament options on FanDuel as things currently stand: number 5, Cameron Payne; number 4, Tobias Harris; number 3, Devon Vasel; number 2, Buddy Hield; and number 1, Devin Booker.